If you think you understand organized crime because you've seen cartels at the southern border, think again. There's a city 4,800 miles from Miami that feels like the future of urban crime, São Paulo, the financial capital of South America, and home to one of the most disciplined, profitable, and low-profile criminal syndicates on the planet. This story isn't about chaos, it's about order, the kind of order only a criminal bureaucracy can build. And the question for Americans is simple. What happens when a model like this scales across borders? São Paulo is bigger than New York City's 5 boroughs combined. Its stock exchange sets the pace for Latin America. Its streets set the pace for a different market entirely. Here, the line between prison and street is a supply chain. The line between neighborhood and network is logistics. What grew inside Brazil's prisons in the 1990s has matured into a multinational blueprint for criminal governance, one that touches shipping lanes, digital payments, and yes, drug routes. That eventually pushed north. This is not a curiosity, it's a warning. It began in 1993, inside a high-security facility known for brutality. A cluster of inmates formed what they called a party, a brotherhood bound by discipline, mutual defense, and a strict code. They wrote rules, they enforced them, they punished betrayal. What looked like survival became structure. From there, the group spread through Brazil's prison system. Control of the cell blocks became control of the streets, the same leaders giving orders by phone, the same hierarchy. Managing debt, territory, and punishment. The breakthrough wasn't a spectacular heist. It was logistics, wholesale sourcing, standardized prices, centralized arbitration, pooled legal defense, and quiet violence when needed. In May 2006, the world saw a glimpse of the muscle behind that order. Coordinated attacks in São Paulo. Buses burned, police ambushed, a capital city paralyzed. Not anarchy, but a message. The state can be paused. What survived the crackdown was not a headline. It was the operating system. AE ties and E cartel that behaves like a franchised corporation, scalable and patient. It began in 1993, inside a high-security facility known for brutality. A cluster of inmates formed what they called a party, a brotherhood bound by discipline, mutual defense, and a strict code. They wrote rules, they enforced them, they punished betrayal. What looked like survival became structure. From there, the group spread through Brazil's prison system. Control of the cell blocks became control of the streets, the same leaders giving orders by phone, the same hierarchy. Managing debt, territory, and punishment. The breakthrough wasn't a spectacular heist. It was logistics, wholesale sourcing, standardized prices, centralized arbitration, pooled legal defense, and quiet violence when needed. In May 2006, the world saw a glimpse of the muscle behind that order. Coordinated attacks in São Paulo. Buses burned, police ambushed, a capital city paralyzed. Not anarchy, but a message. The state can be paused. What survived the crackdown was not a headline. It was the operating system. AE Taizant E, cartel that behaves like a franchised corporation, scalable and patient. Drive past the skyline and you'll find neighborhoods where rules don't come from City Hall. They come from the party. Curfews aren't posted, they're texted. Shops close not because of laws, but because of warnings. And when the syndicate says the street is closed, the street is empty. Locals will tell you small thefts are punished, predators are handled, disputes are mediated. Our counterfeit safety grows, not because the mob is benevolent, but because predictability keeps business running. The same hand that drops a food basket recruits teenagers. The same network that forbids petty crime taxes, everything that moves. From cigarettes to drugs to informal transit, police can and do fight back. But cops are investigating an enterprise that is designed to fade into daily life. Prepaid phones, cash cycles, ghost trucks, 1,000 micro-actors each handling one small, replaceable task. Fear here isn't just bullets, it's dependence. The sense that the only institution that always picks up the phone isn't the state. This is what happens when a criminal supply chain becomes a public service of last resort. It fills the gaps the government leaves behind, then charges interest in blood. If you want to beat a street gang, you arrest the shooters. If you want to beat a system, you have to disrupt incentives. And that means touching money, contracts, prisons, and politics. Over decades, Brazilian authorities have executed major operations, seized tons of product and jailed leaders. And yet the system regenerates, because what sustains it isn't a single kingpin. It's infrastructure. Ports, highways, brokers, lawyers, accountants, dirty and clean cash standing side by side. Some investigations have traced laundering into shell companies, real estate, import-export schemes. Some reforms pushed prison isolation and high security transfers to fracture command. Gains happen, then the market adapts. Inside government, there are brave prosecutors, investigators and police units that pay a personal price for pushing forward. But there are also political incentives to downplay, to delay, to manage the optics instead of the root. The silence you sense isn't just fear of retaliation, it's the fatigue of institutions trying to fight a spreadsheet with a badge. When an organized crime model professionalizes, the battlefield moves from the alley to the ledger. If your tools don't follow, you lose, politely, procedurally, permanently. This isn't a local hustle, it's a logistics web. Routes run through the heart of South America to the Atlantic, then out to Africa and Europe. Containers, not convoys. Invoices, not shootouts. Payments move in layers. Cash couriers. Crypto. Experiments, front businesses. Violence is real, but it is selective, instrumental, and usually quiet. Every port that accepts Brazilian cargo is a potential point of contamination. That includes terminals Americans invest in, insure, and rely on. When US agencies intercept loads on distant docks, they're often hitting the tail of a creature whose head is back in São Paulo, in a bland office, on a cheap phone, speaking in codes designed to evade both wiretaps and headlines. Transnational. Crime isn't a movie scene. It's a spreadsheet that never sleeps. What Americans can learn. Lesson 1. Prisons are command centers if you let them be. The PCC proved that a disciplined leadership can run a multinational from solitary cells with contraband phones and complicit intermediaries. Technology favors the patient. Lesson 2. Treat crime like supply chains, not skirmishes. Map brokers, credit lines, transport nodes, and arbitration forums. Break the logistics, not just the street corner. Lesson 3. Don't confuse quiet with safe. A drop in flashy violence can mean the syndicate achieved monopoly. Fewer turf wars often means one boss, not no boss. Lesson 4. Follow the money. All of it. From cold storage to customs clearance, from freight insurance to last mile delivery. If there's a margin, there's a vulnerability. Lesson 5. Communities can't be told to wait their turn. Where the state delivers last, the syndicate delivers first. That's how the bargain begins. The uncertain future. Two roads. Road 1. The system deepens. The organization professionalizes further, hires better accountants, neutralizes rivals, and becomes a shadow regulator of vast informal economies. Violence stays manageable. Profits grow. International exposure remains acceptable risk. Road 2. The state adapts. Prison communications are actually severed. Corruption penalties bite. Financial surveillance targets corporate shells, and international task forces coordinate like a supply chain, not just a case file. Both roads are possible. Only one is likely, unless there's political will to make the boring, meticulous changes that never go viral. Procurement audits, port analytics, wire room patience, and protection for the people who refuse a bribe. If America wants to avoid importing this model, it must learn from where it was perfected. In a megacity that looks like our future, richer, bigger, and more complex than the agencies assigned to police it. The choice isn't between war and peace. It's between denial and design. São Paulo is a mirror Americans don't want to look into. It shows what happens when a criminal idea becomes a civic service, when the most efficient institution in a neighborhood is the wrong one, when a syndicate decides it's more profitable to manage than to terrorize. This is not a story about Brazil alone. It's a case study in the 21st century cartel. Less spectacle, more spreadsheets. And once that machine scales, borders look like suggestions.
Levanta a mão, deita no chão! Deita no chão! Deita no chão!
Positivo, Cobão. Verificou uma viatura ali pela rua Manipulsar. Eles começaram várias coisas ali. Não sei se é documento.
If you believe public safety is more than a slogan, then São Paulo's story is more than a headline. It's a manual. America can learn from it, partner against it, and harden its systems before this model hardens ours. Subscribe to Warfront, turn on notifications, and share this episode with someone who thinks organized crime is just a border problem. Because the fight isn't only on a map. It's in the ports we use, the payments we clear, and the neighborhoods we ignore. Truth first, logistics second, then victory.